And we are live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Burnin Rubber, the socially distanced edition. This will be going out on YouTube and Anchor.fm as well as Spotify in the coming days. My name is Sterling Siemens, the producer and one of the co-hosts of this program, joined tonight by my regular co-hosts, Hal Lee Stepp and Justin Farmer. How you doing, fellas?
Doing good. Draft night 8, round 2. Looking forward to a little bit of a lighter weekend, and I should say in the news of NASCAR and around the Motorsports League. And looking forward to tonight.
Same here. Proud of the Chiefs for getting the best running back possible in the first round.
Woo!
And better pick a linebacker soon because I've seen our run defense. Mike Pennell can only stop so much.
Yep, that I can say that for sure. Here we are unveiling our team alliances. Hal and I with the Chiefs, Justin with the Chicago Bears, and again, sorry, Justin, but it's we're all sports fans in general as well as racing fans, and there's a lot. Actually, not really much to talk about. This is probably going to be a relatively shorter show compared to what we've done the last couple of weeks, but we will recap what happened last week, starting with the IndyCar race at virtual Twin Ring Motegi. This was a race that we were covering basically live as it was unfolding during last week's show when we had Gavin Doe on the show last week. Simon Pagenaud goes 2 in a row. He wins at Twin Ring Motegi, beating Scott Dixon. And it was funny because Dixon crashed into Pagenaud right after the checkered flag and basically took Elio Castroneves with them, and they did. It was quite the crash, I'd say, but thankfully it's not real. It's a virtual event. As for the NASCAR event on Sunday at virtual Richmond International Raceway, or not international anymore, it's just Richmond Raceway. William Byron, we've talked about how much iRacing experience he's got, and he won 2 in a row. It was a repeat victory for William Byron. Back-to-back, he won at Richmond on Sunday. So, Hal, considering the drama that's been unfolding, I guess it's just nice to finally see a week of peace, seemingly.
Yeah, I was so glad when I looked at the agenda and just went, there's nothing on here that seems problematic at all. That's a refreshing sight. Good to be back in a little bit of normalcy, I guess. A little bit, it feels like, when it comes to the news cycle. That's refreshing.
Justin, any what to say on this?
It was definitely a week I think we're going to see a lot more of here, or at least for the next couple weeks, where I think we've gotten the kind of the bumpy side out of the way, or at least that's what I hope is the case. It's obviously 2 weeks ago, it was absolute madness when it came to the news around the sport, but we kind of got back into the rhythm. Everybody kind of calmed it down for the most part. Obviously, Matt DiBenedetto and Ryan Preece did not take that to heart with their on-track feud. But everybody kind of calmed down. The racing was, I would say, probably the best we've had and so far with the iRacing series. And it was just good, clean racing. And now we go to Talladega, and this is going to be a week of absolute anarchy.
Oh man, just to think they're going to Talladega this upcoming weekend, even though it's a virtual race, it's still, man, it's going to be something. And I'm glad you mentioned Matt Benedetto and Ryan Preece, because that was quite the quite the battle that unfolded both on the racetrack and then on Twitter, where things got even more interesting. DiBenedetto, as lovable as he is, and I'm sure he meant this in a joking manner, just kind of bashing Ryan Preece for his actions out there on the track, virtual racetrack, and what happened. And apparently DiBenedetto got disqualified from the event by iRacing, which was hilarious, especially considering the fact that apparently Benedetto did the event in a giraffe onesie. So
I was
obviously,
hoping you were going to mention that.
I've got to. De Benedetto is one of the best characters in the sport that we have right now, aside from guys like Clint Boyer or Bubba Wallace. But De Benedetto always bringing something funny to bring about. And it got even better because when he was talking about Ryan Preece and saying, someone send me his address so I can track him down about this Michael McDowell put out on Twitter. Yeah, this guy, I mean, he's my neighbor. I'll send you his address. So
Out of
that
all
was,
the people in the NASCAR garage, you would not think Michael McDowell would be the guy to sell anybody out. You would think Michael McDowell is the one guy in the garage I would least expect that out of, but it's iRacing.
yeah.
And obviously if Matt DiBenedetto did that on the racetrack, there would be some serious repercussions coming down from the NASCAR sanctioning body, but it's hard to take this seriously with him in a onesie, a giraffe onesie. I can't help but think of that one video, the family taking the picture and the guy skiing down with the giraffe onesie screaming, "I'm a giraffe." That's the personality of Matt DiBenedetto right there. And we need a lot more of those guys in the garage. I'll say that much, but that was just fun on the watch. And he owned up to it and he did not blame the dog. So gotta give credit where credit's due there.
Yeah, I mean, it's also interesting to note, and I want to bring in Hal on this too, because I feel like I feel like this hasn't been mentioned enough, but I want to make this comparison. The relationship between Matt DiBenedetto and Alex Bowman, to me, is very similar to the relationship between Tony Stewart and Kevin Harvick that we used to see quite often in the garage area and on the racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what happened in a race between him and Bowman, though? I need to know that first.
It's not anything that happened. What are you asking? What Bowman did in the race
Yeah.
with Bowman? I mean, he did. I've got to check the results right now.
He kind of remained quiet throughout most of that race, as he wasn't one that they were talking about much.
Yeah, there
You
wasn't.
think that with him and Byron, you think there'd be a little more conversation around Bowman as well, because he's not horrible at iRacing. He's pretty solid. Of course, Byron will get most of the attention for always winning now.
Yeah, Bowman was 22nd. He was 22nd, 6 laps down to William Byron.
I'll take it back on what I said about Bowman. Maybe I sold him a little bit too high there.
He got caught up in a wreck. Late. He got caught up in a wreck late. Hey, that's why.
But yeah, we definitely need more relationships like that between, like how it was with Harvick and Stewart. And it kind of became interesting at the end how Harvick was driving for Tony Stewart's team, and he still is. It's kind of it was always a nice little thing where Stewart would come down to the then Nationwide Series, drive for Kevin Hart for a little bit, maybe one race or so a year, and then later on, now Harvick is driving for Tony Stewart. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely something to follow along, and it's a fascinating story to look at. But yeah, as we mentioned, not much happened last weekend. Virtual races happened. There were winners. There were some tempers flaring, but no major controversies. No one dropped a racial epithet. Fingers crossed. Hallelujah. I mean, we probably shouldn't be clapping because it's an obvious one that they should follow, but still, nothing bad, or at least nothing seriously bad happened. Thank the Lord.
It was typical. It was typical iRacing and good iRacing at its finest, and that's what we need going forward. They're just a nice week without any controversies, and And it's probably as soon as I say that, at Timmy
yeah.
Hill is probably going to dump William Byron for the win.
Good.
Just
And
watch
which,
Good. That's what we need to see. That's the controversy we actually need.
Yeah,
I mean, shout out to Timmy Hill though. Oh, he's leading the points right now. Hypothetically by over like 30 points over William Byron, because William had the early wrecks at, I believe it was Homestead at William Byron, and crashed out early. And Timmy Hill top threes every single week. So Timmy Hill is still showing that he's one of the best drivers out on the iRacing surface or circuit.
yep. Just looking at what all happened. William Byron won the race. Timmy Hill was second. Parker Kligerman was third, with Landon Castle coming in fourth with Blue Emu sponsorship. Should note that. And Kyle Busch rounded out the top five. He started 27th on the grid. So, I mean, Kyle's getting better at this iRacing thing, it seems. But who knows how long the drivers will be doing it. We'll get to why actually right now. Just looking at the agenda. So let's get on into this. This is the biggest topic of the past week of what all has been happening. NASCAR team buildings, the shops that they operate out of in primarily North Carolina, considering North Carolina is basically the race car state of the country. Anywhere you go, especially in the Charlotte area and the surrounding towns around the Charlotte and Mooresville, North Carolina area, that's prime NASCAR country. NASCAR teams have been ruled essential businesses by the North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. And at this time, it is no longer a rumor, which I had listed here in the agenda, because Darlington is set to be the first race back for the NASCAR Cup Series on May 17th. That is according to a report from Adam Stern. Now, the Darlington race would be run, I believe, 400 miles, and there would be no fans in attendance. Hypothetically, the first races that would be run on the NASCAR schedule would be run with no fans and limited crew members. I'll say, Justin, I'll start with you on this one. In the context of wanting to get back to normal, or trying to get that sense of normalcy back into the racing culture, I guess one of the things that should be asked is, do you agree with this? And if they're going to do it anyway, if so, why or why not? And if they decide to go through with this, what precautions should be made?
I thought a lot about this last night when I heard the rumor that, or what at the time it was a rumor that Darlington was going to start off. I just feel like right now, you're too close to getting a race started on May 17th. Now, if the Coca-Cola 600 was the first race back, I would feel a little bit more comfortable because that is in the local area. That will most likely the teams will most likely have cars ready to go for that. I just don't see how this is not going to turn into a logistical nightmare at the moment. You have 40 Cup teams, each who are probably bringing 12 members to the racetrack. You have all the safety crews. You have all the people who need to be there to operate a race. Right now, with the cases still relatively high, I just don't see how this is a good idea. And you also have people who are not going to disregard the safety precautions. They're not going to be at the racetrack or inside the racetrack, but they're probably going to be camping outside the property just to hear that noise. So there are probably going to be people there on those at the site, who are not going to be in the stands, but they're going to be there, or just because it's NASCAR weekend. We've seen it kind of with the protests all week. I just don't see how this is not going to turn. I just don't think it's a good idea right now to get back going.
Hal, Lisa, your take on NASCAR wanting to get back to Darlington. The date that they would want to try to get back is May 17th.
And just looking at the calendar right now, that's less than a month. That's about 3.5 weeks away, and I don't think that's feasible. I don't think it's a good idea with the current situation because, as Justin said, the cases are still pretty high, and with those protests that you brought up, it's shown that people will ignore some protocol that is in place. Some places they're just going to ignore it, and I don't. I like to think that they wouldn't ignore it at Darlington and they wouldn't go camping out, but that's putting a lot of faith into some people that just won't listen. Sometimes people are just going, some of them just don't listen and they're going to go do that. Hopefully, they'll have some sort of security protocol to where they can't do that so that they can have the safest possible race weekend they can have. I think that Justin also has a point about getting the cars ready. That is going to be a nightmare, especially for those lowly funded teams that really you might be sending a car back out there to go get wrecked and you are low on funding at the moment. At the moment, it is a nightmare financially, and who knows what a wrecked car could do to a lot of these teams. Now, we all want to see some racing. I get it. iRacing has filled the void for now, but we want the real cars back out on the real track for some points races. But let's not get that. Let's not let that get in the way of what really matters, and that's keeping everybody healthy. Because you're also going to have pit crews kind of jammed together on pit road. I know it's a reduced crew, but how reduced is it? And I don't think that you can stop if all it's going to take is one person to have it. So are you going to test all of those crew members before they get in there is another thing they have to point out.
Well, that's something I wanted to bring up right away because I know that right away NASCAR is taking a risk by wanting to come back in May. I know that's an inherent risk in these times that are going on right now. Going to Darlington on May 17th, at least from a revised schedule from Adam Stern that I want to look at now. One of his recent reports, this was from yesterday. One proposed schedule showed NASCAR restarting at Darlington on May 17th, then going to Charlotte for a 400-mile event on May 20th, and then having the 600 on the 24th, then going to Bristol in Tennessee for May 27th. So we'd be seeing a lot of midweek races that are unfolding right now. How qualifying or anything of that sort would work out, I don't know. And I don't know. I feel like NASCAR would have to make changes. It's almost certain that they would have to make some changes to their way they're proceeding with these races if they're going to try to knock out all 36 this season. But in terms of testing crews, there was a lot of, I'd say even the Texas Motor Speedway president, Eddie Gossage, was answering some questions on Twitter about how operations were going to be affected. All the concessions workers there at the track would be wearing masks and gloves. And I believe there was even talks of even one short track, as I'm going a little off topic, but there was a short track in South Dakota where all their concessions workers would only be accepting credit card payments, nothing involving cash. As for crew members arriving there, they would have basically medical checkpoints at every entrance gate, testing everyone there. If all your symptoms are, if all your vital signs are good, there's nothing that even remotely shows that you're sick, you're fine, you can go in. If it looks like, if there's something that shows that you might be sick, they're not going to let them in. It's kind of like, and I keep drawing back to this, but it's like me working at Walmart, going to going through a certain section of the store. They have thermometers that they scan our foreheads with. If it's under a certain temperature, they'll let us in. If not, go home. So I feel like NASCAR and other racing organizations that want to try to get some racing back, they'll be employing a lot of these other techniques to try to, at the very least, help assure some fans that might still be fearful about this. And again, I'm not saying there's going to be fans there, in the grandstands. There could be some around the track, like Justin was mentioning. But just for the sake of public health, while we do want to get that sense of normalcy back and get some actual racing on the track, it is vital, it is crucially important that the public health is also at a top priority.
And I just want to point out, and the reason why NASCAR tried to get Atlanta in, they tried to get Atlanta in, and they couldn't do it, because they felt like the risk was too great. I will say this, NASCAR, or if one person gets sick, if one person gets COVID-19, and shut it down. You need to shut it down immediately. You cannot be taking any risk. And here's if I'm also NASCAR, or you gotta realize you are literally the worst guinea pig out of the sporting industry right now to be doing this. You are the worst guinea pig. You are the most vulnerable guinea pig. And the NHL and the NBA, and that's roughly about 200 people in one venue at a time for the NHL. And NBA, that's about 100 people. NASCAR, you're dealing with 1,000 people in one location. I think everybody's going to be wearing a mask. That was reported by Adam Stern just I'm just under an hour ago at this point. But you are literally the most prone to get the virus mathematically. And if you were to get, I just don't like the idea of us trying to get a race in before the Coca-Cola 600. Because I feel like they should have at least a 2-week period where nobody goes to the shops, everybody gets tested. Like, if they are going to do this, everybody gets tested right now. 2 weeks later, or stay at home for 2 weeks. Get the test then. If you're good, and you can go to the shop, prepare the cars, and start rolling out. But even that is taking a massive risk. I just feel like we are in a zone where if someone gets sick right now, they are going to not show symptoms until we get to that, until preparations are either on the way or Darlington, or we're at the track in Darlington. And that just delays the process a whole lot longer.
Yeah, I mean, it can be. This is. It's the problem is it's uncertainty, because there's no, like, there are times where someone could have it and they don't even show any symptoms. Um, it's it's a fearful time. It's I don't envy the position that NASCAR is in. I mean, I understand that they want to try to get racing in here, but it's, I mean, and as much as I would like to see it happen, and it doesn't matter if fans are in the stands or not. I don't care about the fans in the stands right now. Protect them. They don't have to be there for the race. But at this point, if they're going to try to get the race, like, they seem pretty dead set on trying to get all 36 races in. I just don't know if that's really going to happen, because with the uncertainty of this situation, it's nearly impossible to tell what's really going to happen and to try to make decisions around an uncertain situation. Hal, what do you have to say about that?
I think that the it's I get why they want to go all 36, because I think there's one part we haven't really talked about. Sponsors sign on for a certain number of races in certain races. So sponsors want to be on those cars at certain points. But I think that if you're a sponsor in NASCAR, you understand the situation right now. This ain't exactly a time where your requirements can be met. You want them to be met in most normal situations. This isn't a normal situation anymore. And going for 36 races it's looking more and more unlikely to me, but if they do this and get it started at Darlington and there aren't issues, which is the massive if there aren't issues, then the possibility is there. You may be able to do it, but you're really putting a lot of pressure financially on these smaller teams to where they're going to be pushed out. It feels like they're going to be pushed out because those cars are going to wreck at some point. Those cars are going to wreck, and they're going to need to get ready by the middle of next week because you're going to have some midweek races. And that's just going to be a massive problem. So in terms of having teams get through the season, I feel like if you go all 36, you're threatening some of their existence, really. And I'm not sure if that's a good precedent to set right now, that we're that desperate to get these races in that teams ceased operations after the season. And we put crews at risk because they are at risk when they go out there. So I think it's just a bad look is the real problem. And NASCAR's PR is taking a massive hit, as we already know. This is going to cause another hit when they try to come back at Darlington, because there will be critics saying NASCAR is coming back too soon. And I don't know if you can really disagree with that, because it does feel too soon at Darlington.
I 100% agree with that statement. And you also got to mention, and even if these small teams do show up to the racetrack with cars every single week, I have a feeling a lot of them are going to consider doing a tactic we haven't seen in years, and that NASCAR has kind of flushed out, and that's the start and park. Eric, you start the race, you take your points, and then you go home. I have a feeling that's going to be what a lot of these small teams are thinking of why should we risk running the full race when we could take our money for showing up to the racetrack that's guaranteed by the charter system, packing it up for the first race and then going out for the second race and actually trying. I don't think NASCAR would be able to enforce a rule to prevent those teams from doing that, because then you have a situation where they're just going to say, okay, we're not going to show up. So it's definitely going to be a damaging product. And I got to ask you how, this is not, even though NASCAR and WWE are completely different things, WWE has been continuing with their programs, and that has already received its fair amount of criticism. How's the response been from that perspective from like a WWE fan? And with that,
it has been a mixed reaction from the fan base. When they had WrestleMania with no fans, everyone had their favorite moments and all that. But after WrestleMania, 30 or so employees were fired. And that is where the tide shifted immediately for them. Fans are furious with that because those are some of their favorite wrestlers who have lost their jobs. If you're a fan of a small team in NASCAR, you may be in that same situation where you lose your favorite driver and you're angry because financially this may have been avoidable by not rushing back in. From the WWE standpoint, the moment those wrestlers got fired was the moment the fans immediately turned on this and went, why are we still having live shows? And then the first quarter reports came out and they were better than expected. And now they're even angrier because they got the profits were good in the first quarter. Why do you have to fire these people? So it has been a complete mixed bag in the WWE and has turned more negative recently.
That's another, Hal brought up a really good point on why try to run all 36. And I mean, I'll play devil's advocate here. These tracks that they've signed contracts with, some of these dates are really like crown jewel events for some of these tracks. I think it's safe to say that. However, at the same time, they're already going to 23, 24 facilities. Charlotte has 2, but it's unique because it has that oval for the 600 and then the infield road course, the Roval track that they use in the fall. That's the only unique case that I can think of. Everything else is the same track, sometimes used twice a year. At this rate, if NASCAR like I know they'll want to run all 36 races, but based on the uncertainty of everything happening, I just don't see it. I mean, I'd love for them to run all 36, but it there's they've got to weigh the costs and the benefits, and I feel like the costs and the risks heavily outweigh the benefits on this. I would say just go to each track just for this year. Go to each track once. Um, and concerning Charlotte, maybe do that twice. Run the oval and the roval, but everything else with the different tracks, go to Daytona once, Phoenix, Las Vegas. Um, Although now that I think about it, Fontana and Sonoma, considering what California has been doing out there, how they're probably not going to be having any events, period, this season because of the pandemic and how bad it is out there. I don't see Sonoma or Auto Club happening at all. Or, well,
Well,
Auto Club,
Fontana has already happened, so
yeah,
they don't
Auto
have to
Club,
worry about it. But you bring up a great point with Sonoma. Sonoma's probably not going to have a race there, so you're already having to look at replacing that race. And judging by the way they're having two races at Charlotte, it tells me that they're looking at a lot of these tracks and they're realizing we're not going to be able to go to these locations. I think Michigan is definitely on the chopping block. I know a lot of fans don't want to have two races at Michigan, but there's the possibility of not having one at all this year. And there's also been a good amount of talk that Chicagoland Speedway is going to be off limits because right now I'm in Lake County and Cook County, and they're still getting hit hard. And Joliet's, even though Joliet's in the south, it's a little it's a couple of counties south of Cook County, which is Chicago. They're still going to be feeling it, and just because it is a more or bigger population in Joliet than a good amount of Southern Illinois is. I don't think you're going to see racing at Chicagoland Speedway this year, especially with that June date. Chicago is not ready to host an event, and they are not ready to think about it. And I just don't see NASCAR attempting a race there. And I have a feeling, and this might be a gut feeling, but I have a feeling we're going to see Daytona get another race this year. I have a feeling we're going to see two more races at Daytona this year. One is going to be the 400, and I think they're going to probably try the Roval at some point because you don't they're going to try to go to every single racetrack they can right now. If they're open, they're going to go to it twice. I have a feeling with Daytona, they're going to do something with Daytona.
well, that I do want to bring up because with Daytona, I'm just concerned about Daytona and Homestead for that matter. We'll throw Homestead in there too, because Florida, I feel like that could be a hotbed for where this virus continues to keep festering and getting worse. Like up in New York City especially, has been just pounded with this. New York State as a whole could be affected. That I mean, in a big
That would
way.
affect the
Watkins Glen
Glen.
could be in trouble. Um, I'm just thinking of like hotbeds as to where this thing is really bad. Watkins Glen could be in trouble. Fontana in the future, if this thing is not contained, or if it does get contained only to come back in a second wave, if it continues on through the winter into the next spring, like in March of next year, that could be in trouble. Sonoma is already in trouble. Michigan, Justin mentioned it, could be very well in trouble. Not even in NASCAR either, but over for IndyCar, Portland, considering how it's in, it's not real close to Seattle, but it's up there. It's in that Pacific Northwest region. Portland could be in trouble. So, and Belle Isle too. It's just, there's a lot of uncertainty. That's really the theme of this, I guess. It's uncertainty as to whether or not these tracks will be inhabitable by anyone. Forget about fans, but just anybody in general. Because if the crowd is pretty sizable And if even just one person has it, that's the biggest problem with this. If it's the flu, it'll probably go to maybe 5 or 6 people. With this virus, with COVID-19, it can be spread to a much greater scale, and the symptoms are not good. Like I'm looking now at, for example, Kansas Speedway in Wyandotte County, Kansas. That's because that's the county it's located. It has Wyandotte County has 520 cases confirmed with 48 deaths, and Kansas, the state of Kansas as a whole, has almost 2,500 cases with just over 100 deaths in the state. And obviously that's terrible. Just the statistics that are coming in for the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, are really bad. But then there's also to keep in mind the state of Missouri and how it's being affected, because there are a lot of fans that go to these races at Kansas Speedway. So a lot of them, myself included in the past, they have come over from Missouri, crossed the state line into Wyandotte County, Kansas. Over in Missouri, there are almost 6,000 cases with almost 200 deaths. So it's tough. It's really tough, and you hate to see it, but I'm just not sure if some of these tracks that are going on are gonna that NASCAR wants to go to, that you have contracts to go here, if they're actually gonna go.
It's a difference between can and should. And you mentioned how Florida is a hotbed. I think NASCAR is considering it, but at the end of the day, like they're looking for places where things are already open. Things are already in high gear. Things are kind of picking back up in terms of normal everyday activity. You look at the South Carolina, you look at North Carolina giving NASCAR the go ahead. You look at Florida, who's opened up their beaches right now, and you also look at Georgia, who's basically said, and barbers, retail, a lot of those stores are going to be back open in the state of Georgia. So they're not looking at, I don't think they're going to be looking as much as the safety measures. I think they're going to be looking at okay, where can we go right now to get the season in? Because when NASCAR has either, like, whenever it comes to NASCAR in the playoffs, in rule changes, in any of that, once they have something that is set in stone, they are going to stick to it no matter what. It's very rare when NASCAR decides to bend the rules, except for when it comes to Spingate.
Yeah, that's NASCAR is definitely not one to really try to bend anything. I mean, Spingate's the obvious exception, but they've been pretty steadfast on what they have promised to do, unlike other series. Like I know when CART was still around, we brought it up last week, the 96 US 500. Let's pretend that not even to the green flag crash didn't happen. Let's have everyone bring out their backups. The wreck didn't happen. It didn't happen. Nothing to see here.
I mean, All-Star Race 2001. Come on.
Yeah, the Texas Firestone Firehawk 600 that they were going to try to run, and it ended up getting postponed initially and then canceled because the drivers it's nothing that the drivers did wrong. It's just the cars were too fast for the circuit. And then obviously there were 2 crashes with Mauricio Gugelmin and Cristiano D'Amata during practices that were pretty severe crashes. D'Amata was all right, but Gugelmin had to sit out the rest of the weekend. But yeah, that's we've gone on quite a bit about this subject. If there are any last words to add to this, Hal, do you have anything to add before we move on to the next topic?
If there are races at Darlington and at Charlotte in the next month, don't go outside and just sit around with all your pals who have come out. Don't do that. Just use common sense that you've been using to get through this as it is. Don't go within 6 feet of anybody there. If you're gonna go, just stay like 6 miles away from everybody so you can enjoy the noise, but not be near anyone. Okay, just stay away from everybody.
You're going to get a lot more out of that race if you watch it on TV. If you're not at NASCAR is one of the very few sports where if you're not at and it's better to watch it at the track, but compared to tailgating in NASCAR, or just don't do it. Just don't do it and watch the race on TV. Yes, you may have to deal with Fox coverage. Just watch the race on TV, and even if you are feeling fine, just watch it on TV. Don't go to the racetrack. You're just causing more issues for NASCAR than you are or otherwise.
Yeah, I would definitely follow through on that advice. Even if you're feeling fine and you want to go to the race, don't. Just don't. I know it's a difficult time for everyone. I mean, it's a difficult time for all of us. Trust me. We would all want to be in Columbia at Mizzou right now. That's a plain obvious one. I don't think I need to restate it a lot, but we will get through this. I know times are tough, but it won't last forever. I'm confident of that. And I mean, it's important that while we should be socially distancing, obviously, it's important to at least get out of the house at least a little bit. Like I'm lucky enough that I live on like 57 acres of property out here in Northwest Missouri, but it's it's just use common sense basically. Don't panic, but don't be so laid back about like, I'm not going to get sick. Trust me, it can happen. It can happen to anybody. So with that being said, and I also do want to bring up this news item that happened earlier this week, and I'm going to share the screen for this because there was a South Dakota short track that made headlines over the last couple of days by saying they were going to have a dirt race with fans in attendance. But eventually, they changed course and decided, no, we are not going to have fans. So they're going to still have the race, but there won't be fans in attendance. Saturday's Open Wheel Nationals at Park Jefferson Speedway in North Sioux City, South Dakota, was scheduled to run with 700 fans in attendance. Now, apparently their grandstand capacity is over 2,000. I think it was somewhere around 2,500, but they were going only to allow 700 initially. But eventually, they decided that no, we changed our course, no fans allowed. So ultimately, I think that was the right call. I'm not sure they really have to race, but at the very least, they had the conscience to go, no fans. We can't risk the public on this.
I'm thinking about this just logistically. Why would you wait so long before saying no fans in this situation? Because I did see that the governor didn't prohibit the races, which is fine, and encouraged constituents not to go. So I'm kind of wondering why the original plans went on for so long.
I just think it's profit.
And if that's the reason, then no, that's the motives of the race promoter come into mind there. And I'm going to hope the fans have a long thought about the next time they can go to race there, because you might want a different race promoter.
All right. So with that news item out of the way, like we mentioned, it is probably going to be a fairly short show. So Hal, I hand it off to you now. It is time. Drum roll, please, or snaps, or whatever it is. It is time. This is your Money Team Update with Hal Estep.
Well, Floyd Mayweather is 51-0, and he's 52-0 when it comes to giving me no news about his race team. Just like how he beat Oscar De La Hoya, he beat me into submission of trying to find a news item. I found nothing once again.
This has been your Money Team update. So unfortunate. One day, we're going to get that Money Team update that says they're going to be racing this weekend.
Racing this weekend with Carl Edwards at the helm.
Oh, man. World will probably explode.
Could you imagine?
The fan base would be losing their minds. Like, I just know, I remember that video David Reagan made, or not, it wasn't David Reagan who made it, but it was a video made for Reagan's retirement. And then, like, they had all these drivers in there, and I think, if I remember correctly, all people were talking about in the comments was, Carl Edwards, he's alive! Carl lives!
Huh.
So there's that. But,
the man's gone into hiding, and he briefly appears for the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and like he's being nominated for it, and he's not gonna I forget the word, but
he just he once he announced that he was leaving NASCAR, he just up and left and has been. I mean, he vanished basically, only to come out come back out and say, well, yeah, I'm surprised I got nominated, which, I mean, props to Carl Edwards. He's so humble about this whole thing, which, I mean, it's something to be admired in a way.
It's always hilarious with Carl Edwards because it just always seems like it seems like he's the Loch Ness monster of NASCAR at this point. It seems like a myth some of the times. Is that he was out there, or only to hear the legends of him coming in second place to Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah. If only he got the title. So moving on to another object or news thing to talk about. There's also not really much news in the world of motorsports to talk about, other than Jeff Gordon, the four-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Jeff Gordon, the one who hosted Saturday Night Live in 2003, Jeff Gordon. Yes, those are the same Jeff Gordons. Jeff Gordon is going to be running the iRacing event this weekend at Virtual Talladega. It should be fun to see, considering that he's the color commentator for Fox Sports during their NASCAR coverage. And I'm just curious to see how it's going to pan out, considering, is he going to be doing commentary while running the race, like Kyle Petty did that one time in Sonoma in 2007? But, okay, that put aside, I want to start with Hal on this. How do you think Jeff Gordon is going to do at Talladega?
I really want to say that he's going to be like Jimmy and struggle, but I don't know how familiar Jeff is with iRacing. When you listen to him talk about it on commentary, he sounds pretty knowledgeable about it, so I don't think he's going to struggle as badly as Jimmy, but I don't think he's going to be up there competing with the iRacing pros like William Byron, and Timmy Hill. Yeah.
Justin, do you think William Bryan is going to...
Oh, you had to do me like that.
That put aside, how's Jeff Gordon going to do in your opinion?
It's Talladega. It doesn't matter or whether or not, and I think he's going to do well or not. It's Talladega, and that race, no matter what, is going to cause absolute mayhem and carnage. You talk about Dale Earnhardt getting on the podium at Michigan because of fuel mileage. We could have I don't know, Chad Fincham win at Talladega. Yeah, he's on the entry list this week.
Oh my!
Like, that is Talladega for you. So it doesn't matter if Jeff Gordon's good or not at Talladega. And keep in mind, it's about surviving the wrecks, and then it's about being the most skillful at the end of the race. So we'll see. Because Talladega is a two-way street. You got to be a good pusher and you got to be a good leader. and most of the time you're a pusher.
Yep. I think Jeff Gordon, I don't really know how he's going to do, because it's going to be like, he does seem pretty well up to date as to how iRacing works. But at the same time, I just don't think he's going to be up there with William Byron and Timmy Hill and the guys like that. But then again, it is Talladega. It's a free for all. I'm not expecting Jeff to do something that Kyle Petty did while he was a commentator during the race with TNT at Sonoma and get wrecked on the first lap and go, "What the was that?" just like, just
And they
dropping a
never
bomb
did
right
it
away.
again.
Uh, just yeah, it's yeah.
I mean,
I don't
shout out to Clint Boyer for
yeah.
Clint Boyer has done an amazing job with that. I am almost shocked at this point.
Yeah, Clint's done really well. One other thing that I forgot to bring up, and I do want to talk about it at least just a little bit. iRacing had an iRock, similar to iRock, event on Wednesday. It was a very interesting event. It ended up with Scott Speed winning after some last lap chaos. He held off Kevin Harvick, and it was one of the Labonte brothers, Bobby Labonte. Scott Speed held off Kevin Harvick and Bobby Labonte to win the race at Virtual Daytona after Scott McLaughlin tried to go for the lead on the last lap, but got turned going down the backstretch. David Gravel and Ron Capps were in this event, so it was Tony Kanaan, Kurt Busch, Patrick Long, an accomplished road racer, Will Power, and Santino Ferrucci. So it's and Juan Pablo Montoya was there as well. Chad Reed, a motocross racer. Chase Briscoe and Cruz Pedregon from the NHRA. Those were all the drivers in the event, but Scott Speed holding off for the win on that. It just makes me want IROC back.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
Bring the Rocks back. Just bring them all back. IROC, Rockingham, The Rock. I don't care. Just bring them all
Johnson?
back.
Bring
Why
the
not?
back into the ring more often. Just we want IROC.
Why not? Why not? I don't know much WWE.
Yeah. Hal is the WWE expert among us. So with Jeff Gordon and Scott Speed winning at Daytona out of the way, now comes the fun activity of tonight's show. Justin, you put together what we are calling a NASCAR, well, not just NASCAR, but a motorsports draft, considering the NFL draft is going on right now. The first round was held yesterday, and now the preceding rounds are continuing on today. So, Justin, I'll let you handle this one, considering the motorsports draft.
Yep. So if you'll allow me to share the screen real quick.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
Yep.
All right, should be able to.
All right. So what we have here is a little bit of a fun and activity. We thought, because we kind of figured that today would be a little lighter. And what this is a draft. So each of us will pick 2 F1 drivers, 4 IndyCar drivers. There's 4 NASCAR drivers, and I forgot to add this, and then 2 up-and-coming drivers. So we'll say wild cards. Or it's here. They could be any driver or in the series. Oh, there we go. No, dang it. I had it.
Got it.
There we go. So 12 picks and 36 picks overall. And it's kind of a reverse snake order. So how you get to go first, you can pick any driver at any time. And you just got to fill out your roster.
All right. I already know who my first pick is. I think we all know. it's Lewis Hamilton.
And forgive my spelling here.
It's fine.
So,
I guess I'll be going next.
Yep.
Let me think. My first pick, who would I want? Well, this is actually pretty difficult.
that's the point because you're filling out not just one roster, you're filling out 3.
Yeah, and I do want to ask a quick question. No repeat picks or yes?
No repeat picks.
Darn it, I can't take Hamilton then.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. This is going to make it even tougher. I am going to pick Kyle Busch for my first one. The man is just too talented.
A good pick.
All right, I'll go ahead and do the last name first name combo with that one.
Yep.
I am going to go. I'm going to go with Bottas as from F1 here.
Valtteri Bottas. All right.
Yep. Gotta get
Who's
in.
going next?
Oh yeah, Justin's going next. So
Yep, I'm going next as well. And what I will do with my pick, I want a little bit of youth on my roster. So give me Rossi, Alexander Rossi from the IndyCar series.
There's no E at the end of his name.
Oh, yep. Just added that.
Awesome. Man, I wish I'd thought of that. That's actually really good. Okay, Hal, you're up.
All right. I am going to continue my reign of champions and pick Joseph Newgarden for IndyCar.
Why didn't I
Again,
pick?
forgive my terrible spelling with this.
Newgarden?
That's all I'm going to say.
On. So, okay, now I get 2 picks in a row. Let's see. I better pick. I gotta think. Who would I pick next? Okay. Let me see. IndyCar. Who should I pick for IndyCar? Okay, for my first of my 2 picks in a row that I've got, my first pick that I'm going to take is Will Power for IndyCar. He's just super reliable on road courses especially, and he's turned into a very accomplished oval racer. I mean, he won the Indy 500 in 2018. My second pick that I'm going to have, I've got to get a Formula One driver in there, and I'm debating in my mind because I thought about taking Sebastian Vettel, but considering how he's fallen off the last couple of years, I'd rather not err with Vettel. And then I start thinking, well, what about Daniel Ricciardo? Well, he's with Renault, and they're they're not great right now. So I'm just going to go with the driver who, in my mind, is next to, aside from Hamilton, the most popular driver in the sport right now. I'm taking Max Verstappen for Formula One.
I was really thinking on him.
Verstappen. P-P-E-N.
Verstappen. And that was a good pick, by the way. I just don't know how to spell tonight. I got to pick a NASCAR driver in here. So once again, got to keep with the youth movement here. I'm going to go with Elliott.
Chase Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
All right, to you, Hal. 2 picks in a row.
Actually,
wait, hold on.
Oh, no, wait. Sterling. Oh, wait. I flipped you guys around. My bad. Oh, wait. What the heck did I do?
Oh, no. Okay.
Uh-oh.
It was
okay.
Hal, me.
No, I think that's how it should be.
Yeah, Hal. Yep. Double Hal. My bad. I tried to do the copy paste. I must have clicked one up. My bad.
There we go.
All right. So, got 2 picks here. Can do something nice with both of them. For NASCAR, give me MTJ, Martin Truex Jr.
Nice solid pick.
And I'm going to stay in NASCAR for the second pick. I'm going to go with Joey Logano.
Public Enemy.
We'll have all the bad guys.
Will you have a war? Will you have a war going on inside your front office there?
Yes. Will you win? There will be a battle and a war. Oh, no.
As long as one of them wins the war, it's okay with me.
All right. Well, I guess it's my turn now. Let's see. F1. And we're another question to talk about. These are just the active drivers that are going on, or
correct.
Just active. All right.
Just active.
Okay.
You can't pick up and comers. So you can pick the little Supercross driver from Australia if you want for a wild card.
Supercar. Well, why not? Let's pick a wild card, and I'm going to pick the man, the myth, the legend, Scott McLaughlin.
I guess I can.
Got 18 wins in supercars, and he's proven to be really, really fast in Indy cars. I am not gonna.
I'm going to have to look up how to spell that. I am not.
MC.
Okay, it's an MC.
MC and then capital L. AUGHLIN.
Oh, IN. Okay, I was thinking LAN and for a second there. But for me, I think I gotta go IndyCar here, or to beat you guys to the punch. I gotta go with last year's runner-up, Simon Pagenaud.
Pagenaud's a good pick.
And I'm gonna probably go ahead and fill out my F1 on roster here. I'm gonna go with if you're gonna give me a Vettel, I'm gonna go with Vettel, just to fill it out. I feel like you can wait on a bunch of NASCAR drivers.
Switch around the E and the L.
Oh,
hey, it's fine. I mean, some of the pronunciations are hard to get.
This just proves how bad at spelling I am. And just how much of inexperience I am with F1 and IndyCar. That's all this really shows.
All right. So with that, just analyzing the current lineup, we've had 13 picks. Justin has filled out his Formula One lineup with Valtteri Bottas and Sebastian Vettel. As for IndyCar, he has 2 drivers, Alexander Rossi and Simon Pagenaud, and 1 NASCAR driver in Chase Elliott. As for me, I have Max Verstappen for Formula One, Will Power for IndyCar, Kyle Busch for NASCAR, and Scott McLaughlin as a wild card. Hal Leestep has the next pick. Right now, he has Lewis Hamilton for F1. IndyCar's squad is represented by Joseph Newgarden. 2 NASCAR drivers, Joey Logano and Martin Truex Jr. There will be a war there. I'm calling it. And you have the next pick.
Well, I quite frankly think that chemistry is a myth. I want them to feel like they have to beat each other. I want competition, a healthy competition. Don't help each other. Just focus on getting past everybody. And with that, I will make sure to get Lewis Hamilton's, I guess, are Ferrari and Mercedes basically rivals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Charles Leclerc. I want as much conflict as possible.
Darn, you picked. Oh, that was the next one I was going to go for. Charles Leclerc. Nice solid pick. He's done a lot for Ferrari in his first year there. So now I'm going to have to think of my next guys. This is tough. It's tough to think. Okay. Actually, now that I think about it, Well, I have 2 picks. So,
Yep, you have 2 picks here.
okay, now that I think about it, I'm amazed that no one has picked this first driver that I'm thinking of. I got to put Scott Dixon on my team for IndyCar.
Yeah, that was the
I
one
am
I was
amazed that no one
for.
picked him yet.
I was
And
thinking
then
of it.
he just came across my mind and thought, oh, wow, Scott Dixon's there for the taking. Pair up the New Zealander with the Australian power. it's a great Oceania match there. Now, for my second pick of 2 in a row, well, I got to think of, let's see, I picked Verstappen the first time. And for my second pick, I got to think, well, I'm not going to pick Roman Grosjean because he's too inconsistent and he crashes a lot. I'm not picking Hulkenberg because he's out of the sport right now. Not taking Gasly either because he got cut from his ride at Red Bull. He's with AlphaTauri now. I feel like I should go for a veteran there, but okay. You know what? I'm going to put aside the. I was leaning towards Alexander Albon, and I might take him for a wild card later. But right now, on my Formula One lineup, if I'm going to have a good, solid, seasoned veteran to balance things out, give me the Iceman, Kimi Räikkönen. RAI
All right. Oh my gosh.
IKKONEN.
RAK RAI
RAIK
RAIK
KONEN.
AONEN. Okay.
Oh, and
So
yeah.
yep,
So
gotta copy the paste. Gotta copy paste here.
and Dixion right there. So now let's see. Hal, Sterling, Justin, Hal, Sterling.
Oh, I did it again with your pick, Sal. I'm sorry. There we go.
Are you sure?
There it goes.
Yep.
Yep. So now Justin gets a pick.
So this one I'm going to have to bolster my NASCAR lineup at some point, but right now I'm not looking to do that just yet. I am going to go with Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Captain America.
Mm-hmm. I gotta just do Hunter-Reay. That's right.
Hunter Ray.
Yep. And for my NASCAR pick, I am going to go.
Hold on a
Oh,
second. I think
oh no, wait. Never mind.
2 in a row.
Yeah, never mind.
So now we got Hal. You got 2 in a row. 2 picks.
All right, this is gonna be wild. So I'm gonna take IndyCar youngster rookie of the year Felix Rosenquist.
Okay, this one I think I know how to spell.
Rosen. Nice. Even got that V in there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right, now I'm going to go stare at my big board for NASCAR. Let's get that up there.
I mean, you guys have the advantage. I'm not able to switch the screen for a second because then you'll know who I'm thinking of.
Oh boy, this is gonna be a tough one. You know what? I'm trying to think like how long do I want them to be around on my team? But quite frankly, I've now considered the logistics of that. That really does not matter, so I'm going to pick Kevin Harvick.
All right. Harvick is going to be the one tossing around a lot of great quotes and sound bites. And while Logano and Truex are having their war, Harvick is just going to be in the background munching on popcorn, watching everything go down. So
either that or he'll push him into the conflict. Oh no. Ask Frank Keselowski about that.
Just wait till my next pick of Matt Kenseth.
All right. For my next pick, well, I feel like, okay, because I've noticed Power and Dixon on my IndyCar lineup. I feel like getting some youth in there because let's be honest, those are 2 old guys. two experienced veterans, longtime veterans of the sport. I need to get a youngin in there. So I'm going to put Colton Herta in there for my third.
Yep. Beat me by a pick there.
Colton Herta. So now, Justin, you got 2 picks in a row.
Well, I definitely have 3 IndyCar guys, so I feel like I need to balance out my NASCAR guys. I'm surprised nobody has gone with this.
Keselowski.
Yeah.
Brad Keselowski. Quick question, Justin. Is he going to win this race?
If depends on the racetrack, like there or Darrell Waltrip. I mean, or no, not Darrell Waltrip. What the heck am I thinking tonight? Larry McReynolds. What the heck am I thinking?
Larry Mack going to be like, Brad Keselowski won this race.
And the other guy I'm going to go with, I'm surprised nobody took him, Denny Hamlin.
That was going to be my next one.
So I got 2 veterans and a pretty young gun there or on my NASCAR roster right now.
And I am up again. Oh boy, here we go. We got 3 on NASCAR, 2. Should probably get an IndyCar guy in there then. Let's see. Give me another young gun for IndyCar. Give me Santino Ferrucci.
And 2G, as Paul Tracy likes to call him.
I think I know how to spell this one. It's 2 C's, right?
Yep.
Yep, there we go.
And I just noticed Dixon actually has 2 I's in there.
So everybody got 3 IndyCar drivers now.
Okay, so now I get 2 picks. How about it? Let's see. For my next pick. Okay, I'm gonna start having to fill out my NASCAR lineup. So my second pick, I've got Kyle Busch. He's been in the sport a long time, so now I need a young gun in there in my mind. I'm gonna put William Byron in there as my second pick for NASCAR. Just last year, he showed such incredible improvement with Chad Knaus on the top of the pit box. I'm not going to pass up on William Byron for the second pick. Third pick, this is going to be interesting. Just for what I saw out of him at the start of this year, he's been in the sport for actually a few years now. Excuse me. I'm not sure I would consider him a young gun per se, but I'm going to put Ryan Blaney in there. So I got Kyle Busch and then Byron and Blaney, the Killer Bees, the new Killer Bees. Take that, Roush Fenway. So we'll see that happen. Byron and Blaney, and Justin, you've got the next pick.
Do I want to go NASCAR here or do I want to go back to the IndyCar? Well, I feel like right now, Alexander Rossi is probably the only young gun you need. Then again, Alexander Rossi's like mid-20s, so he's not that young at the moment. I gotta look for probably a young gun here. Who would probably be that next young gun?
Oh, I just thought of someone for my next one. Although I think it goes Justin and then Hal should get 2 picks and then me.
Yep. I keep making that I kept making that mistake on the copy paste. That's why.
That's fine.
I just keep seeing that. You know what? I'm just gonna pick Exato and call it a day.
Oh, Takuma Sato. He's a bold one, that's for sure.
You really just did that to me right there. I was staring right at. All right, 2 picks, fill out the lineup. So wild cards, those are only from these 3 series, right?
Like people, yeah. I kind of guess. I don't know. I just kind of did that to even it out.
I'm only asking because I want to know if I can take Juan Pablo Montoya.
You can take Montoya.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, then I'm picking Montoya. They're already committed.
Okay, Montoya is one of the wild cards.
That's not.
You are
Oh, that's not okay.
Schreier, you are not. No, no, no. Oh, that's awful. Oh no.
Oh,
Oh, I
I
remember
knew this was gonna happen. I let it happen anyway.
Montoyota. My goodness, this is what happens when when we're all just doing this for fun.
This
But
is
we love it. We love
this
it.
this came out. This just came out of nowhere,
Um,
and I could have prepared for this so much better.
oh man. Okay, Hal, your second pick.
I'm staring down everybody here, and I want more chaos on my team, but quite frankly, I don't think I can actually fit any more chaos onto it. So I'm gonna fit more championships on it. I want 7-time. Give me Jimmy.
Jimmy Johnson.
Contracts are not an issue in the iRacing.
All right. Oh, I guess I have a pick now. Let's see. I've got a wild card, a NASCAR slot, and an IndyCar slot left. Okay, so wild card, I'm not sure about. This is interesting. Okay. I don't know if I would classify him as a wild card or an IndyCar, but he's not a full-time driver on IndyCar, but he has done full-time in the past. So
Yeah, I can
I
see
feel
where
like
you're
Hal
going with
knows
this.
where I'm going to go with this. What would we classify it as? Wild card or Indy?
Well, you can do wild card if he's not full time.
I'm torn because I want to use Alexander Albon on here, but I'm afraid I won't be able to because hang on. I wasn't sold on Albon because I was getting to my point. I want the mayor of Hingetown on my team.
You want the mayor.
Yes, James Hinchcliffe. He's not on NASCAR. James Hinchcliffe.
I think. Right? No.
An E
Is
at
it-
the end.
Yep.
Hinchcliffe.
People are going to comment on this and just criticize my spelling to death. I duly apologize for that.
We apologize in advance for anyone
Yes.
who's offended by the spelling.
I should have done it at the beginning.
It's fine. Justin, you got another pick. After this, we'll
Picks.
each have 2 picks remaining.
So I gotta fill out a wild card spot here, and I also have a NASCAR spot remaining. I think I know where I want to go with one of my picks. I'm gonna go with Bowman, and for my 4th pick, and the 5th pick here, I'm really tempted and to do this because this is he's technically NASCAR, but we all know where he dominates on the racetrack. Give me a future prospect. Give me Bell, Christopher Bell.
Christopher.
You kidding me right now?
I know. I felt that way 5 times with Sterling's picks.
Okay.
I sat there after picking Jimmy Johnson, and the name Christopher Bell got into my head, and I just went, "Why did I do that? Why did I do?" He was sitting right there for me.
Would you like to trade in the?
No, I'm keeping 7-time. You'll never get me to trade 7-time. Oh boy. So I got a wild card in IndyCar. Oh boy. Let's see. I was looking at him, but I don't see enough wins on that man's calendar here. Then again, I think everyone who had a win last season has been taken, so that's not relevant. Cool. Yeah, we'll go with oh no, he is 41 years old. I can't take another old guy.
Are you talking Kurt Busch?
No, I was about to take Sebastian Bourdais, and then I was kind of like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that
Only get
reminds
my
me. Bourdais, like Bourdais, I don't think Bourdais has a full-time ride. I mean, he's got a part-time ride with AJ Foyt this year, but yeah, he got forced out of Dale Coyne Racing.
even more reason not to go with that pick. Awesome. Yeah, I'll go with Graham Rahal.
All right, Graham Rahal, not bad.
All right.
Nice, solid driver for his family-owned team. Okay, so now I have 2 picks remaining. Looks like 1 for my NASCAR squad and just a wild card in general. So, Justin, would you mind scrolling back up just to? Oh wait, never mind. I know Verstappen.
Yeah, everybody's at the bottom here.
Yeah, Verstappen is at the top of my F1 list there, because. Oh, okay. This actually provides me a good opportunity. So, I've got my last 2 picks available. My last 2 picks are going to be for my NASCAR. I am going to pick Tyler Reddick. Yes, I am picking Reddick because of how impressive he's been with RCR. And up until the pandemic put everything to a halt, it seemed like he and that team were really starting to click together in the Cup Series. They had a great run at Phoenix going until he crashed out late. And as for my second wild card, I mean, I've already said it, Alexander Albon. Just how much progress he showed last year driving first for Toro Rosso and then moving to Red Bull in the middle of the season and having a really impressive showing there. I got to take the driver from Thailand, Alexander Albon. And there's only
I spelled that with 2 N's instead of 1 N.
And I noticed Scott Dixon, that it's there's an I between X and the O. There's not really one.
Which driver?
Dixon.
Oh, Dixon.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. I must have called it. Okay.
I'm kind of a grammar stickler. But anyway.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
2 picks left. Justin, Hal, you guys, I mean, I've got all mine set up. It's up to you now.
The last driver for me, and I think I'm going to have to go and take a driver from the camp of F1. I just feel like that's how this draft has set up everything. And the driver I am going to go with, you might be surprised by this one. I think what I'm going to do is, as you can see, I am not procrastinating. I am going to go with Lando Norris from McLaren.
Ooh. All right, Lando Norris.
All right. So it's time for me to pick Mr. Irrelevant.
Yes.
Now, the one thing I have going for me is that, Juan Pablo Montoya can just triple. He can be my road course NASCAR driver. He could go in IndyCar. He could go in Formula One. Doesn't matter. He's the real jack of all trades. Unless we're at Daytona. This is going to be tough because I feel like there's a young gun missing that hasn't been picked. And I'm almost certain of it. Oh, yeah. It's in my head now. Cole Custer. That's who I want to pick. Cole Custer.
So we each took a rookie.
Yep.
I'm kind of, I'm kind of shocked that one name did not show up, and that's Matt DiBenedetto. I thought for sure he was going to be in the wild card rounds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we might do this again some other time just for fun to fill out some time, and we might even change the theme up. This is just a thought that I thought of. What if we did this for like select decades too? Maybe like in the 2000s or 90s. Heck, that'd be something big. That's something nice to try.
Yeah, I mean, this was just a dumb idea. Came up. It's basically just to fill time. And I think it was fun. And it was kind of interesting to see the strategies between us as to, between us to see who we would choose where.
Fantastic. So we've got that draft out of the way. And just to summarize the results, the final pick, Hal, if you had an F1 team, you'd have the champ of them all, Lewis Hamilton with Charles Leclerc, an IndyCar roster with Joseph Newgarden, Felix Rosenqvist, Santino Ferrucci, and Graham Rahal. A NASCAR team that would have a lot of infighting aside from Jimmy Johnson, who would be running his triathlons and biking in the mountains. You'd have Truex, Logano, and Harvick duking it out, with Montoya and Custer coming in for part-time races. I would have Verstappen and Raikkonen for F1, with Power, Dixon, Herta, and Hinchcliffe for the IndyCar squad. Kyle Busch would be leading the team, with Byron and Blaney and Reddick bringing in some good results, as well as Scott McLaughlin and Alexander Albon. And as for Justin, Bottas and Vettel, with Rossi, Pagano, Hunter Ray, and Sato for IndyCar. NASCAR team with Elliott, Keselowski, Hamlin, and Bowman. And 2 wild cards of Christopher Bell and Lando Norris. So that fills out the draft for this week, the kind of fun little motorsports draft that we had here on Burnin Rubber. And we thank you, Justin, for that idea. So with that out of the way, like we mentioned, pretty short show. So let's start making some weekend picks. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right. So let's start with the IndyCar iRacing Challenge event. This weekend, they are going to be at Virtual Circuit of the Americas. The track that is the Formula One purpose-built circuit in Austin, Texas. There are 33 drivers entered in the event, highlighted by the addition of Lando Norris from McLaren, who will be running the event. And I am trying to find the entry list for this event as we speak. Trying really hard to find it. iRacing COTA entry list. Okay, so pulling up the entry list now, courtesy of racefans.net. And I will share the screen. So there we go. So here's the entry list. It starts with Joseph Newgarden, with McLaughlin, Bourdais, O'Ward, Wickens, Askew, Erickson, Dixon, Rosenqvist, Kyle Kaiser of the Junco squad is there. Basically, all the Penske guys, all of the Carpenter guys with Connor Daly and Renus VK, Dale Coyne crew, all the Andretti's teams. Felipe Nasser is driving for Carlin, with Dalton Kellett in there for Foyt. Spencer Pigot is driving another car for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. Let's see. Max Chilton is here for Carlin. Chaz Mostert, that's another name to look out for. Chaz Mostert, a supercar compatriot to Scott McLaughlin, is running the race for Andretti. And obviously you see Lando Norris in the 04 for McLaren SP. So 33 cars entered. I think the most notable drivers to come over from other series or that aren't really regular contenders. Obviously, Robert Wickens is one of them. But then you go further down the list where you will find the likes of Chaz Mostert and Lando Norris. And then I guess you could throw Felipe Nasser in there, although I think he was rumored to run a partial schedule for Carlin Racing anyway this season. So I'm going to start with Hal Estep. Out of these 33, who is your pick to win at Circuit of the Americas?
It's going to be a tough one to pick. I think I'm going to go with Scott McLaughlin. Quite frankly, I think that at some point he's going to get behind Simon Pagenaud and go, I'm not letting you win 3 in a row, turn him, and that will be the nicest ending he could possibly have.
I was going to pick McLaughlin, but unfortunately, I also had the same policy of Hal as to not pick the same winner as the other guy. So give me Simon Pagenaud.
All right. We have 2 Penske picks with McLaughlin and Pagenaud. I, for my pick, am not going to select any of the Penske guys. Rather, I will pick the driver who won this actual real life event in 2019, that was a historic event. For one thing, it was the inaugural IndyCar race at Circuit of the Americas, but it was also historic in that it cited as the youngest driver to ever win an IndyCar race with an age of not even 19 years old. And if you haven't caught on to who I'm talking about, I'll just highlight it out for you. Colton Herta. Yes, Colton Herta is my pick to win Saturday's event for the iRacing IndyCar Challenge event. I think Chas Mostert and Lando Norris, they'll do all right, but I feel like Norris is probably going to mount more of a challenge than Mostert in this case. But I think Colton Herta, with how he's run for at Circuit of the Americas in the past, I just don't see. I mean, I'm trying to figure out the right way to phrase this. It's going to be tough to beat him, basically, for Circuit of the Americas. So now, let us go and check out the entry list for the NASCAR iRacing Pro Invitational this weekend at Talladega. So let's have a look at that. Virtual Talladega is up next. Trying to find the entry list. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen once again. And it appears they're having a similar setup to what happened last weekend. So here's the preliminary entry list for both events. Kurt Busch is in there along with Keselowski, Dylan Harvick, Chastain, Dale Jr. is in there on an invitation. Looks like all the Stewart Haas guys are in here.
Eric Almirola first race.
Bobby Labonte. Matt DiBenedetto is back. Thankfully, he's not banned yet, at least. I hope I don't jinx him. Ricky Stenhouse is here. Chad Fincham, Garrett Smithley, Yaley, Gase, and then Hill and Kligerman on invitations. Same with Landon Castle, Christopher Bell, Daniel Suarez, and Jeff Gordon is there as well in an unnumbered car. So I think
it's 24 officially. They came out with the paint scheme today.
Yep, it will be. There will be 70 laps. A field of 40 cars is expected. 70 laps, manual cautions, 1 reset, a maximum of 3 green-white checkered finish attempts. So, Hal Eastup, I'm going to start with you again. Who wins at virtual Talladega Superspeedway for Sunday's Geico 70?
Now, this is going to shock you. I'm not picking William Byron. In fact, I'm going to pick Timmy Hill to win at Talladega. Now, hear me out. Very good on these super speedways. He's shown that, and while it is usually a disaster-filled, crash-filled wreck of a race, he has found a way to get through those in recent memory. Now, my reason why William Byron won't win is because he's going to get confused that there's another 24 on the track. He's going to go, wait, is that my car? He'll look away for a second and hit the wall.
Hold on. William Byron's going to get confused about the 24?
Yeah, because Jeff Gordon is not going to drive in a car not numbered 24. I think we can safely say that.
Well, Jeff Gordon drove 88 in 2016 because Junior got injured.
Oh, but this is iRacing.
I was at Indianapolis for that.
All right, Justin, your pick.
Well, I am going to go with my trusty thing I always do when picking a super speedway event and go to the wheel of fate for my winner. And whoever it lands on, that's who I'm going to pick. Because let's face it, it's Talladega. So it's basically a 1 in 40 shot anyway. So here we go.
All right.
Round and round and round we go. The lag intensifies. And the winner is going to be Chris Buescher, driver of the number 17 in this weekend.
Well then, so 1 for Chris Buescher, 1 for Timmy Hill. For my pick, the last pick of the night, I just feel like this is, there's so many names to choose from, but I don't know which one to pick. If you haven't noticed the trend that's going on, the name that I'm going over, he's the Pied Piper when it comes to super speedways.
He's
Dale
without Tony
Jr.
Stewart.
Junebug will be celebrating for Talladega. Everyone's going to follow him around the track, and even though they're going to mount a challenge, it's not going to be enough because Junior is just too good at a place that was basically his playground and was his dad's playground back in the day. I mean, Junior won, what, 7 times at Talladega? I know his dad, Dale Sr., won 10 times there. So I can't go wrong with Dale Jr., I feel like.
Keep in mind, though, 4 out of those 7 times, guess who is right behind him at the finish line? That 20 car, that old orange 20 car. So he'll have to find some help to get to the victory lane, but I could definitely see it happening for Junebug.
All right. So we've made our picks, we've had our draft, and we've gone through our list, basically, of what to talk about. So, Hal and Justin, any last words before we close out the show tonight?
I've got nothing.
Just stay safe, everyone, and we'll keep chucking along here, and we'll get through this.
Yep. We'll keep going. We'll keep trucking along. And
hold up.
Yeah.
Jordan Elliott, first Missouri player to go off the board, just got drafted.
Very nice.
Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland.
No.
Oh, well, good luck in Cleveland. Make it better. So, congrats to Jordan Elliott on Mizzou's own Jordan Elliott to make the NFL, being drafted by the Cleveland Browns tonight. So that's going to do it for our show being recorded tonight, Friday, April the 24th, 2020. And we thank you for watching this or listening to us on whatever platform you have. Until the next time, because we will be back next Friday, May the 1st, to talk whatever is the latest in motorsports. Until the next time, he is Hal Leestep. The other guy is Justin Parmer. And I'm Sterling Siemens saying thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and be kind to one another. I'm Sterling Siemens, signing out.